What's up, interweb? RhyQuinn here, and today I'm going to welcome you to a brand new series on the GBA channel, the Road to Playoff series, where I'm going to be interviewing every coach that has made it into the playoffs in GBA Season 4. And kicking things off today, we have the winner of the Hoenn Conference, coach of the Real Marill. We have MegaMogwai. How you doing today, man?
What's up, interweb?
Oh my God's sake.
I have a family intro, man. I like it.
Thank you.
It's much better than mine. You got like clapping and stuff.
What, your one?
Yeah.
What's up, internet?
No.
MegaMogwai here.
Okay.
No? None of that? What is it? Is it a clap or the snap now? Which one do you prefer?
I kind of like mixing it up because the thing is, like, the clap is kind of animus thing, and I don't really like. I did it like without thinking, and then I'm like, wait a second, Anima does it. I think she kind of like stuck it to my brain like without me noticing when I watched her videos, and then I started clapping, and I'm like, wait, I'll snap for a while. Gotta do my own thing, you know?
Not bad. So first things first, congratulations on making the playoffs. Like,
Thank you.
that's awesome. So obviously this is your first full season in the GBA. Like, are you excited to be in the playoffs like for the first time?
Yeah, like I am. Season 3, you know, we all know what happened and such. I was actually on a good like run, but it's true that it's nice to, you know, finally like finish off a season and get ready for the playoffs, and then like finally have a season that's gonna be complete. Like, I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
And
for sure. Looking back towards the start of the season, did you think you'd make the playoffs? Like, in your heart of hearts, did you really think you'd make the playoffs?
I see. The thing is, it's a lot of games, so I was kind of worried that I would hit some sort of tilt, or I would hit some sort of like losing streak or something. Like, it can happen to anybody, you know. And I was confident in my draft, but there were other drafts that on paper looked a lot scarier than mine, and but to be honest, I'm a competitive person, and I really thought that if I put in the work and I would be able to make the playoffs, unless, you know, unless just things didn't happen to go my way. But I was somewhat confident that I would make it. I was not confident I would be the #1 seed overall, but I really thought, you know, like, when I drafted my team, I had my reasons for drafting my Pokemon, but then I do know that when people looked at my roster, it didn't look as intimidating. And then you looked at rosters like the New Orleans Developers, and they're much more intimidating on paper. But that's the beauty about this game. Like, until you hit that battlefield or whatever, you're not going to be sure how things really work. And all my theories and all the reasons why I drafted, they all came to place, and they all worked like I expected them to. So you can say I did expect to make it, but I was prepared for me to not make it, basically. I was mentally prepared for that to happen.
No, fair enough. Are you happy with how you performed this season? Obviously, you were 9-1. Like, there's only that one loss. But are you happy with the way you performed?
I mean, it would be quite douchey for me to say that I'm not happy. Like, I can't not be happy about my performance. I am still upset about the week 4 match with the whole Stoutland issue.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's one of the matches that I played the best, and I can live with it. I can live with it. Like, I can live with 9-1, and, you know, I'm very, like, I'm stoked about my performance, honestly. Like, I'm not trying to like throw roses at myself. Oh, I'm so awesome, I'm amazing. No, it's like I'm happy. Like, I think it couldn't have gone any better for me, and I'm really satisfied.
Yeah. Well, this kind of links into the next question then, saying, if you could go back and improve something, what would it be?
Improve something regarding my draft or regarding my play?
Regarding, well, either,
Preparation.
actually. Either your draft or your performances or a result or whatever.
Let's see. I feel like, I don't know why I have a tendency to draft teams they're extremely weak to Mammal Sign, for one. And I do feel like Maybe my Scavalier and Scavalier is a pick that I'm extremely happy with, but Blade I'm not so sure about. I think I could have. I love the typing,
Hmm.
but I think that perhaps I could have gone with something else. That's when regarding my draft. I feel like Blade. It did work for me in the first match because it matched up really well against Nips because he had a Urachi, he had a Mega Altaria, so it was like really good in that match. He had a Halucha, which I completely counter, so it was good. But barring that, I feel like Scavalier does a lot of things that I want Dooley to do, and he does them better. I really love Scavalier.
Yeah.
I feel like I could have perhaps that's my mistake when it comes to the draft. And obviously, if so obviously I wish I would have known the happy mechanics, the happiness with Stoutland, so I didn't have like a return that did 20% to Keldea when I should have killed it. And on top of that, there are certain preparations which I could have done better. I feel like I've prepared better for my matches as the season has progressed.
Hmm.
I feel like moments like the tops of my preparations were perhaps my my surprisingly my prep against Gio for the second match, even though I was so unsure about it, it worked out perfectly. And my preparation against the New Orleans Pelicans is one of the ones that I feel most proud about. I think that there are other weeks where I could have actually prepared better, but overall I can't say that I'm because I've won my game, so I can't say that I would go back and do anything different in my matches because if I win the game, like there's no reason for me to say that, in my opinion.
Hmm.
There are plays that I could have made better. I certainly did choke in certain plays, like uh, there was one like the thing with having a YouTube channel, with having a lot of people really watching you in the GBA and such, is the fact that you have all these hindsighters, and they always look for one specific moment in which you did not make perhaps the most optimal play, and they want to be like, hey, I'm all smart and stuff. Look, I pointed this out. What do you have to say about that? I'm like, dude, go take my team and play a game live, a GBA game live, and we'll see how many of those mistakes you make.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't go back. Like if I'm human. I made certain mistakes, but I can't. I with how well it's gone for me, I just can't go and be like, oh no, I should have. I'm an autocritic, but I also think it's important to accept, when you've done certain things right. It's good to give yourself a pat in the back, I guess.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
good. It's not bad.
Absolutely. You briefly mentioned your draft and what you changed things, but in terms of the Real Marill this season, who do you
Yeah.
think on the team was your overachiever? Who did more than you thought they would?
It's a good question. I have a few, but I would have to say that the biggest overachiever, without a doubt, is Hydreigon.
Hmm.
I knew Hydreigon would put in the work, but Hydreigon, without a doubt, has proven to be the best pick for me this season. Hydreigon is an amazing Pokemon, and I've done everything with it. I nuked the Milwaukee Salzburgs with the Choice Spec set. I shut down the Entei from the New Orleans Pelicans with a physically defensive variant. I It closed the gap. It closed the game for me against the New York Yankees with the Choice Scarf, and with the levitate ability, then it was not affected by the Sticky Whip. It broke through the core of the Long Island Reggie Rockies as well with the Life Orb set. Overall, it's just a Pokemon that can do so many different things. It can be a wall breaker. It can be a late game cleaner with a scarf. It can be a physically defensive monster. And because his typing is phenomenal, it's just a Pokemon that has performed so well for me. It's proven to be so reliable that I couldn't be happier from drafting Hydreigon. And I do recommend those people who, are players of league formats themselves, fucking draft Hydreigon. Weavile? What the fuck is a Weavile? Draft Hydreigon. Do it. Just like Shia was saying, just fucking do it. Also, another achiever that I thought that I have to mention it because people thought it was gonna do jack shit,
Hmm.
and it actually did quite a lot. Is even though I haven't brought it that many games, but it's the games that I brought it's put in massive work, and that's Escavalier. I'm very happy with Escavalier. It it was the MVP of the match against the Salzburgs, pursuit trap being Meladios, taking out the Balloon,
Yeah.
and it was amazing in that game. And then it was also really amazing against the Pelipers, completely countering the Kieran Black And the Sylveon is just, it's a Pokemon. Its typing is phenomenal. Its attack is borderline ridiculous. Its bulk is very, mucho nice. And I'm a big fan of the Cavalier. It's one of my favorite Pokemon too. So I like showcasing off. I believe those are the two, like, Scavalier, not because, there are other Pokemons on my roster who have done more than him because I haven't brought him that much. But considering how people thought it was the shittiest of picks, I would have to say he's number two, but number one is Hydreigon without a doubt. Even if people expected things from Hydreigon, the amount of work that Hydreigon is the MVP of my season without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair enough. And conversely, then, who do you think on your team was your underachiever? I feel like I'm going to know the answer to this one, but who do you think was your underachiever on your team?
Surprisingly, it was Thunderous Incarnate, and it was not because it did bad, but because a lot of games it just didn't even get to hit the field, Because I kept him as a win condition, as a late game cleaner and such at a lot of times, and Thunderous has the potential to be in one of the best Pokemon in a format like this, but I never managed to like put him to use because, the other guys put in the work, but it's not like he's underachieved. I feel like, but I mean, you could say Thunderous. There is a Pokemon that has underachieved more than him, and it's Stoutland, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's not Stoutland's fault. It's my fault. So I can't say that he underperformed because if everything was right, he would have swept that game.
Yeah.
Like, the chances of his Dragalge living the return, I believe it was like 8% or something like that, or 6%. Like, hey, he could have lived it. But that's the same percentage of a crit, by the way. So he could have lived it, but more than likely he would have swept Mobone. So in that case, I'm the underachiever, not Stoutland. leave Waffles alone. He did good. He's a good boy. He's a good boy now. He's taken care of. He's happy. Trust me, I'm not kicking him anymore. But I know a lot of people are pointing Stoutland, but I just want to point that out. And then when it comes to like the big names in my team, Thunderous is the underachiever because of that, because he hasn't really done much. Like, he's barely hit the field, and but hey, he has put in the work. It's just,
Yeah. And then when he does hit the field, he goes to a head smash from a Nidoking. So
Yes, yeah. That was kind of a letdown. He's still upset about it. I've talked to him about it. We couldn't see that coming, but he's got a big ego, so yeah. he'll get over it though.
If you look back on your whole season, which match do you think was your biggest challenge, and why do you think that?
My biggest challenge before actually hitting the match and actually playing the match, on paper the match that scared me the most, that I really put a lot of thought into, was my match against the New Orleans Pelipers. Because like I said, the New Orleans Pelipers at the beginning of the season, everybody had them at number one. Everybody said their draft was the best, and they had a lot of threats, like I said, Entei, Mega Venusaur, Jerem, like so many things that are so difficult to switch into, that it's a match that's very hard to play out in your brain, basically.
Yeah. It's
a match that you got to go there and you got to scrap, and that's what I did. I was not as confident, but that kind of led to me performing so well, because I was so afraid of a lot of this stuff that I really put in the work preparing, and when it came down to it, I had a response for everything, and that's because I prepped so much. That's because of the challenge, Like, it's not that other weeks I've underprepared, but definitely I put in more hours against the Pelipers than I put in against any other team because of the challenge that it proposed to me. The Piratas were also a very scary matchup for us, even though they're at the bottom of the rankings. I still don't believe they're the worst team. I believe, because he's been in a lot of games. He's had a lot of good matches. I just believe that Top needs to learn a little bit how to play more for the end game, because I believe he drafted beautifully. I think his team was great up until he traded Mamoswine, which I don't agree with. But no, I really don't. I just don't see that trade benefiting him. But he drafted really well. Tup's team, I could do a lot of cool things with Tup's team. Like he has a lot. He really drafted smartly. I think the thing with him is that he needs to play more for the late game. That's something that I recommend a lot of players is playing for the late game. Think about what's going to happen at the late game, at the end of the game. How are you going to win this game? And you're like, okay, to win this game, I actually need this guy, so I can't sack him. Like a lot of people play turn by turn. They play turn by turn, and they don't think about how the match is going to drag. You have to play. You can't play like that because you're going to fall behind every single time. That's kind of a little bit of advice that I'm going to just shove in there for people. For more inexperienced players or whatever. Not saying that Tup is like that. I'm just saying that he could improve that because when I faced Tup, I was so worried because that was the worst matchup ever. Tup had so many threats. He had a Mamoswine, which I had no switches to. He had a Mega Alakazam, which outsped my entire team, including my Mega Lopunny, and it killed everything. And also could trace Stoutland Sandrush if I were to bring it. So that's a no-no. And on top of that, he had a Azumarill, which completely counters any variant of Hydreigon. The only Pokemon that counters Hydreigon, Azumarill, he had it. He had like so many threats. Crobat was so good against me too. Like he had so many good Pokemon. Heatran, which would force me to bring Focus Blast on Victini, or hit him Power Ground. I thought, yeah, like I couldn't spam V-Creed against him. So he had a very scary team. He had a very well draft, and that was on paper one of my biggest challenges as well. So I think that Tup has learned a lot from this season, and with how well he drafted, if he drafts as well, especially considering he has the first pick next season, and he just picks that up, from all the experience. We all have our first run of the league, right? Like we all need to get the things, our mojo. We all need to get our mojo. Let's talk about that. If he comes back and he's learned from all these things and stuff, and he drafts as well he did last, or even better, he could be a big contender. I think he could be a big contender. So I'm excited. I just need to point that out because it was the worst matchup for me. Like on paper, it was the worst match for me. And I was terrified. Of it.
Yeah. So you were talking about different playstyles and things. Which team do you think would you like to play again? Or if you haven't played them yet, what team would you like to play for the first time?
All right, this is an interesting question. Let's see. A team that I would like to play again. I mean, I would really like to play the New York Yankees because he really pushed me in that game.
Yeah.
I was not comfortable. I was comfortable in a lot of my past games, but I was not comfortable in that game. Like, I usually tend to see the end game somewhat clearly. I know what I need to do. Whether I can get there or not, whether I can pull it off, that's a different story. But I intend to see what I need to do for the late game to win. Against the Yankees, it was kind of a blur, And it was a very intense match because of that. Because when I don't see exactly what's going to happen, I get a little bit anxious, So it was he really brought it to me, basically. And I feel like I strive in those situations. I feel like that leads to a very good match for the fans. So I think that, hey, I wouldn't be against the Real Marill New York Yankees finals. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had enough looking back at the season. Looking to the playoffs themselves, your first match in the playoffs is going to be against the winner of Hank the Pidgey versus Molvone.
Yes.
And who would you prefer to play out of those two?
That's a very, very difficult question for me to answer. I obviously want my rematch against Momo. I obviously want to set a statement and be like, hey, my style is happy now.
Yeah.
Bitch! But I love Momo. He's a really good friend. I would like to face Momo and kind of make that statement, but at the same time, I also haven't faced Hank yet. And that's kind of exciting because I haven't faced him yet. Even though his team is a lot stronger against mine now after that trade, he's I feel like it would be a good game, and it would be I'm excited. I'll take either of them, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I would like to face either of them for very different reasons,
Yeah.
which is interesting. One of them is because he's the only guy that beat me, and the other one is because I haven't faced him and he's done really well in the league, and it would be exciting for me to plan. Cause I'm a big fan of like first time matches. You know, rematches, except for Mobo, that's a rematch that I can want. So. But yeah, I can't say one of the two. Like I want them equally, but for very, very different reasons.
Yeah. And of course, you'd be facing that Mama Swine again if you face
and
that.
I don't think I would kill it turn one like I did against Trump.
Yeah, you don't think you'd get a low kick off first turn, no. So I think the last question I'm going to ask you is probably the most important one.
Yes.
Are you going to be crowned the GBA Season 4 champion?
Well, if history repeats itself, I will lose in the playoffs. And I will hate myself, and I will cry every time in the corner of my room. Because yeah, that's what happened in the D League. Like I was the #1 guy. I was the #1 seed. I beat everybody. Was afraid of me. Everybody wanted to be the Real Marill. And then we reached the playoffs, and our Gothito got crit. And it's Pokemon, you know? It's Pokemon, and anything can happen. I could not plan as well for a certain match. Maybe the pressure could affect me as well. I'm in it to win it. Yeah. I think I've proven, like I'm just going to say it, we've proven we are the most consistent team. We've proven that. I just need to win 2 more games. That's all that I need. And I can take that cup home. I know my Gazpacho brethren wants that. I want that. Fucking Low Pony wants that. Konnichiwa will die if he didn't get that. So I will do everything in my power to come home, take the cup home. I think I'm the favorite to take it, but I'm not going to listen to that because I actually prefer when I'm the underdog. Yeah. And I think everybody does. But I can't promise anything. I could talk mad shit right now, but I can't do that. I'm going to say it. I'm going to fucking try. And I would be disappointed if I would be really disappointed if I wasn't, we weren't crowned the champs. Because I feel like we kind of deserve it. They hate me for that if I say it, but I feel like we deserve it because we've been very consistent. So, but what I got to do, I just got to, whoever wins out of Hank and Movo, I just got to bring it to them and be like, hey, you did well, but I'm the king of the Hoenn Conference. So hey, take your 3rd place. Take your bronze medal with pride. I'm going to the finals, and then I'll face the winner, either Dan, John, or Shady. 3 very different matchups. I haven't faced Dan yet, even though I do believe I have a solid matchup against him. Yeah. And I faced the other 2. Yeah.
Mega Low Pony versus Dan is just Mega Sableye Chanseycore is no against Mega Low Pony.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited for the playoffs. I will get nervous, obviously, because I strive. How do I say this without sounding douchey? I strive for excellence. I don't want to be like, okay, yeah, I had a great season, and now I lose in the playoffs. I don't want to repeat. The D League really got to me because I wanted that match against Sam in the finals. Yeah. So bad, and it got taken away from me. So it's kind of like I don't want that to happen again. So you can expect the nervous, Miguel, and you can expect, but I'm going to be driven, and I'm going to be motivated, and like I said, no promises, but yeah, fuck it, let's promise. We're going to fucking take it. Let's do it.
That's what I was hoping for.
Fuck it, man. Fuck humility. Let's fucking take it. Konnichiwa, get ready.
Well, I think that is gonna wrap up this interview. Thank you very much, Miguel, and best of luck in the playoffs.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you guys for watching this interview, and stay tuned for more Road to Playoffs interviews coming very soon, as well as a load of other videos coming on the channel in the meantime before the playoffs start on the 19th. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
God damn it.